The Republic Broadcasting Network.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero. You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network, where you'll find out what the Fukushima's going on.
And welcome to our show today. It is Monday, October 19th, 2020, start of a brand new week. The Orionid meteor shower is peaking this week for those of you who get up before the sunrise and hopefully have dark, clear skies to enjoy it with. It's a busy news day. It's been a busy news weekend. We've got a lot of stuff to cover. Real quick announcement, Ammon Bundy will be our guest Thursday. So we'll have more about that, talking about this whole white supremacist smear job that's being done on American patriots. Obviously, the big story continues to be the eruption of evidence regarding Joe Biden's corruption, together with his son, Hunter Biden. Stories are swirling about the laptop. The foreign press is giving this a lot of coverage. The American corporate media is grudgingly, days after the New York Post, starting to mention it. At the same time, they're trying to be dismissive of the whole thing. Senator Ron Johnson has demanded FBI Director Wray reveal details surrounding Hunter Biden's laptop, and is saying the Biden campaign's response to the scandal has been pretty odd. First there was a denial the meeting took place. Then they said, well, yeah, it might have happened unofficially, but it was cursory. And they're going back and forth, and they're acting like they know there are people and facts out there that can contradict them. So they're trying to be very, very careful what they say that goes on the record. Now, apparently, the Biden lawyers sent an email to the computer shop owner that had first received the laptop and repaired it, apparently. And I think this really can be construed to confirm that it really was Biden's laptop there. Now, some of the disinformation people online are trying to say, well, it wasn't really his laptop. It's a plant. The big hoax out there now, it's a Russian plot. It's all a Russian plot. We'll talk about that a little bit later in the show here. But the FBI has had this laptop since December of last year. And apparently the FBI agent who signed the warrant to seize the laptop works in their child pornography division. So rumors are swirling about some of the videos and pictures that are on that laptop. One story over at stationgossip.com is saying that the computer's images have been turned over to Bannon and Giuliani. There's 25,000 images with sexually explicit selfies and porn. Now, there is a story that is coming out of InfoWars where a Chinese whistleblower is saying that Hunter Biden's sex tapes on the computer, they're not really tapes, obviously, but they contain video of Hunter Biden sexually abusing multiple underage Chinese teens. And this is not the only source we're hearing this from. So if that breaks loose, that's really going to cause a huge amount of damage for the Biden campaign. But that's one of the things that's out there. If they are there, I expect they'll be made public next week with only a week to go to the election so that the effect doesn't wear off here. So anyway, Senator Johnson is calling on the FBI saying it's time to come clean over the agency's involvement with Hunter Biden's laptop. And this is after refusing to confirm or deny certain details contained in the whistleblower complaint by a Delaware computer shop owner. Now, remember, this shop owner basically viewed the laptop as having been abandoned, went looking through it and saw something that he felt needed to be reported to the authorities. And there are laws that require computer repair shops to report to the authorities anything they find on hard drives, like terrorist plots, formulas for making explosives, and child pornography. So it's beginning to look more and more like Hunter Biden's laptop is making Wiener's laptop look tame by comparison here. Story coming out of Sputnik News here. The New York Post, of course, dropped this bomb on Hunter Biden's business deals and the alleged role of Joe Biden following the GOP September report calling out the potentially criminal financial transactions of the ex-vice president's son. So Max Perry has discussed the disclosure and FBI Director Wray's apparent inaction. Again, the FBI has had this laptop since last December and did nothing with it. Okay. So anyway, Biden's lawyers have asked for the laptop back, and this has prompted Trump to say that its revelations are the real deal. So despite questions over the authenticity of damaging content from the hard drive, Donald Trump has said the data is a proven fact, with Steve Bannon promising there is more to come. Hunter Biden's laptop is a disaster for the entire Biden family, but especially for his father, Joe. So the Joe meeting happened. The emails are correct. And Joe Biden took 10% of the equity in all of these deals. Steve Bannon says everything reported in the scandal is true. Says the fact that Hunter Biden's lawyers tried to get the computer back prove it's no Russian intelligence operation. Now, the reason for that, of course, is the talking point coming from the liberals and the Democrats is it's another Russian hoax. It's Russian interference in our elections. It's proof that Trump and Russia are colluding to shift the election, and this is all a Russian plot. Okay, so let me see if I have this right. Russia somehow convinced Hunter Biden to put all of this incriminating information on a laptop computer and then take it into a repair shop because it had gotten wet and stopped working, and then promptly forget about the fact that it was there. That's what these, Russian hoax are trying to say. All righty. But the emails are Russian. That's the official Democratic narrative. And all I can say in response to that is fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. We have been down this road before, haven't we all? And it didn't work out the last time. It proved to be a lie the last time, and it's a lie this time. But they've got nothing else. They're desperate. This is absolutely desperate. All righty. So the director of national intelligence, John Ratcliffe, in an interview with Fox Business, Maria Bartiromo, said that, no, this is not part of some Russian disinformation campaign. All right. Now, there's another thing the liberals are trying to do right now, and you need to be very, very careful about it. Liberal groups are posting fake photographs online that claim to be Hunter Biden doing, well, some pretty gross and disgusting things, but you can't see his face. And the idea is it's called poisoning the well. It's an old propaganda technique. They'll flood the internet with these fake photos. Then they'll point out the fact that they're fake and say, well, see, nothing from this can be trusted. If there are fakes there, then the whole thing has to be fake. That's what they're trying to do here. And they're even getting more desperate because there are these news sites like the Copper Courier in Arizona and Decatur Times in Alabama. They describe themselves as startup news sites helping to fill the void from the decline of local news outlets across the U.S. But they are, in fact, both partisan sites trying to shape the news narrative ahead of the election. The Copper Courier is part of a network of 8 sites launched in battleground states, backed largely by Acronym, a liberal nonprofit with close ties to Democratic donors. Acronym has been building out the network called the Courier Newsroom over the past 18 months. As of May, the sites had an $11 million budget and aimed to publish around 300 original articles and videos a week that would promote aggressively on social media, which, given that they're liberal, would be allowed. Now, when this whole social media ban on the New York Post story happened, the first thing I said is we're going to see the banned in Boston effect, where the fact that it's being hushed and suppressed and banned is going to pique the public's interest, and it's going to backfire on them. And according to MIT, that's exactly what has happened. The Twitter ban nearly doubled the visibility of the Hunter Biden laptop story in the New York Post. Okay, now Steve Bannon is behind what's called the rollout plan for the Hunter Biden emails. They're going to be releasing them a little bit at a time. And he says that multiple stories from multiple media outlets are about to hit. And of course, the one I would like to see come on out there is, the child abuse, the child sexual abuse. There's no way Democrats, regular mainstream Democrats could be comfortable with that. Now, Donald Trump is calling Joe Biden a criminal mastermind, says Hunter is a human vacuum cleaner sucking up foreign dollars at his Nevada rally. Of course, Hunter's sucking up more than just dollars, according to some of the information we're getting from the laptop here. I was watching when Donald Trump arrived in Arizona. He's currently speechifying there. And when he got off the airplane, he was accosted by the press, who came on out there and said, why are you calling Joe Biden a criminal? And Trump says, well, because he is a criminal, and you guys are criminal for not reporting it. So, word to the corporate media, never ask a question to which you do not want the answer. Now, things are about to get a little bit more interesting, because there's a Ukrainian lawmaker has claimed that another laptop belonging to Hunter Biden's business contacts in Ukraine has been seized by law enforcement there. Because remember, they're prosecuting Burisma, which is what Joe Biden tried to head off and failed miserably. Talk about wasted money here. But it's obvious that Biden helped Burisma by getting this one general fired. And he even bragged about it. He bragged about it on the air, about how he was able to get this guy fired. I mean, it's like he doesn't even care if you know how corrupt he really is. Obviously, during an election, he does. Now, I want to do a little bit of a flashback here. We're all talking about Hunter Biden's son, but apparently it sort of runs through the family because Carolyn Biden, who's Joe Biden's niece, got busted in a $100,000 credit card scam. This happened a while back. She avoided jail time and agreed to pay restitution. So it looks like there is a real problem. And again, I said last week, if Joe Biden cannot manage his own family, he certainly cannot manage a nation. And if, in fact, he was receiving some of the money from Hunter Biden's deals in Ukraine and China, then it's not a case of managing his family. It's a case of the entire family being on the graft. Now, Donald Trump Jr. is out there complaining that Twitter and Instagram are throttling his retweets and engagement in a bid to cover up the truth about the Biden crime family. We're certainly seeing that. They're openly censoring the American voice right now to suit their own political agenda. And I'm looking at this article that came out of frontpagemag.com, where Twitter is operating as Biden's censorship arm. And they've changed their mind now, but Twitter was censoring the dissemination of links to the New York Post story about Biden's corrupt Ukraine deals and the laptop. Now, here's where it starts to get a little bit more interesting and colorful. The Facebook executive in charge of election integrity on the platform was the special policy advisor for Europe to former Vice President Joe Biden. So that may be a reason why Facebook is trying to cover some of this stuff up, because one of their key executives now stands to be exposed here. So I think pretty much everybody agrees here that social media has crossed a very dangerous line. The New York Post is one of the country's oldest and largest newspapers. I think they're number 4 in the country right now. They were founded by Alexander Hamilton. Only 3 U.S. newspapers are more widely circulated. Now, it was purchased in 1976 by Rupert Murdoch and has a right-wing tabloid sensationalism, but they are capable of reliable journalism. Right? Talking about social media protecting Joe Biden, Wikipedia is out there saying that the Hunter Biden emails have already been debunked. And of course, we've known about Wikipedia being a gatekeeper for quite some time now. Another little observation story here coming out of Information Clearinghouse censoring the Biden story, how social media becomes state media. And that's exactly what they're talking about. The deep state is using social media as it uses corporate media to try and control the minds of the American people. Now, over on Netflix, they've got a documentary right now called The Social Dilemma. And it consists of interviews with former Silicon Valley insiders who are very candid about what they see as happening to social media. And basically, these are the executives who created the technologies and business model that underpin the social media empire. Most of the interviewees are in their 30s, and they admit social media dehumanizes people, disrupts social fabric, and destroys democracy. Well, they should know they were on the inside. Okay, now Kayleigh McEnany's Twitter account has been reinstated, obviously, because earlier today she tweeted out this footage of thousands and thousands of Donald Trump supporters lining the streets to see his motorcade. And this was down in Orange County when he arrived for a fundraiser yesterday. And I've seen the video. It is very, very impressive how large that crowd is. Okay. Now, days to go before Election Day, and the bombshell report in the New York Post. Joe Biden has gone back to Delaware with no public events on his schedule. He's basically going to stay in his basement until Thursday's debate. Trump, of course, is all over the country right now. He's in Arizona. He's got another rally in Arizona later today, and he's out there pressing the flesh, and Biden is basically hiding at this point. And one of the reasons is reporters are starting to ask him about Ukraine and Hunter Biden and the laptop. And he clearly does not want to answer those questions. So he's just avoiding those situations here. All right, getting onto the realm of vote fraud. And again, this is the crookedest election in U.S. history. Apparently, in Sammamish, Washington, a few miles east of Seattle, I know where that is, garbage bags full of stolen ballots were discovered on opposite ends of the town. And the police are investigating mail theft after 2 garbage bags of mail, which included ballots, were found on the side of the road, and several unopened ballots were found in incorrect mailboxes. All righty. Over in Pennsylvania, there are lots of complaints from first-time and absentee voters having difficulty registering to vote or requesting a mail ballot, fueling anxiety in the critical swing state, just as the 5 p.m. today deadline approaches to join the voting rolls in time for the November election. College students in at least 3 counties in Pennsylvania who attempted to register to vote online had their applications rejected, and they were notified they have to provide documentation in person or by mail to meet today's deadline. Obviously, mail's not going to get there. Okay. Turning over to other bits of domestic news here. Remember Governor Whitmer was out there claiming that there was a kidnap plot against her. A little story that didn't make any headlines in corporate media. The suspects who've been arrested for this supposed kidnap plot are saying that the mastermind of the entire plan was an FBI informant. And apparently he was planted into the group and was the one who pushed the entire plan, which sounds like what the FBI does on a pretty regular basis here. Meanwhile, Hunter Biden's laptop filled with criminal, drug, sex, and million-dollar criminal dealings sits on a shelf at the FBI collecting dust, if they haven't erased it already. All righty. Now, speaking of the Whitmer kidnap plot, which was foiled by the heroic FBI, apparently the FBI director, Wray, promoted Stephen M. D'Antuono to head the Bureau's Washington, D.C. field office. That is a plum promotion. And he's been promoted to the Washington field office. And he was promoted just days after D'Antuono's agents and state police supposedly broke up the plot to kidnap Governor Gretchen Whitmer. Okay, we got to take a break for commercials. Back with more news after these few words.
Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. We have a special promotion going on at Republic Broadcasting. This is a fundraiser for Republic Broadcasting involving the Energy Cleaner. Mail me a postcard. My address is at my website at thelibertyman.com. We pick a postcard every other Thursday. When your postcard is drawn out, you get to buy an Energy Cleaner for $215 instead of $285, $70 discount. $200 goes to Republic Broadcasting. You also get a 10% discount on my mattress pads. So get those postcards in, put your name, your telephone number, your email address on there, and when your postcard is drawn, you get to get an Energy Cleaner for $215 instead of $285. Mattress pads, 10% off. Help us out at Republic Broadcasting and help yourself to get an Energy Cleaner at a deep discount. It's a win-win situation for everybody. We hope you can get these postcards in soon. Thank you very much.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now, but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge 20, 30, 40, 50, if possible, 100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
What this country is coming to, I sure would like to know. If they don't do something by and by, the rich will live and the poor will die. Doggone, the panic is on. Can't get no way, can't draw no pay. Unemployment getting worse.
Welcome back to our show here, and a friendly reminder that Republic Broadcasting Network is in the middle of a perpetual fundraiser. We don't have any large corporations or billionaires who are conservative supporting us. We rely on you to stay on the network, stay on the air, and keep doing what we're doing. First of all, to all of you who have supported Republic Broadcasting, a deep and heartfelt thank you. And for those of you who haven't, but feel motivated to do so, the postal address to send a check, money order, or if you prefer anonymity cash, is Republic Broadcasting Network, 2251 Double Creek Drive, number 302, Round Rock, Texas, 78664. The phone number where you can make a credit or debit card donation is 800-724-2719, extension 3. The network thanks you. All right, getting on back to domestic politics and the furor over social media suppression here. Over at the New York Times, the New York Times, in their magazine, they had this rather interesting little op-ed written by feminist author Emily Bazelon, who believes that the biggest threat to free speech is free speech itself. And so she writes this Orwellian article saying that maybe it's time to rein in free speech because of the increasing danger and damage of information that is not accurate, meaning not the official government plan, as it were. Okay, remember the George Floyd protests near the home of the California National Guard chief? Apparently, during that protest, 4 spy planes took to the skies to monitor the street protests following the killing of George Floyd. And this, of course, is raising the concern the military is improperly gathering intelligence on U.S. citizens. 3 of the planes kept watch on demonstrators in Minneapolis, Phoenix, and Washington, D.C. that drew hundreds of thousands of protesters and were marred by violence. But the target of the 4th plane was far more surprising: the affluent Sacramento suburb of El Dorado Hills, the scene of a much smaller and entirely peaceful protest. Okay. Believe it or not, Twitter has now blocked the White House doctor, Scott Atlas, for tweeting his opinion on the masks. Twitter said it violated the company's COVID-19 misleading information policy, but basically they are censoring the White House doctor. And apparently he tweeted out on Saturday, "Masks work? No." And followed by what Twitter claimed were misrepresentations about the effectiveness in masks of combating the pandemic, which Twitter said would harm the public. Okay, we're going to go to the international news now. There's a lot of stuff going on there as well. The United States is condemning Turkey's recent S-400 test in the strongest terms. They're saying if it's confirmed, but there was a video shot of what appeared to be the launch of an S-400 air defense system test. And Ankara previously announced they were going to hold live fire exercises in the region between the 13th and 17th of October. So Washington has had its knickers in a twist about Turkey's acquisition of the S-400. Apparently, it's a very capable air defense missile and would definitely make it much more difficult for other countries to attack Turkey, which is the reason they bought it here. Over in Nagorno-Karabakh, Baku claims its drones destroyed Armenian military equipment worth $1 billion with a B dollars. And following talks in Moscow, Armenia and Azerbaijan agreed to implement a ceasefire, which unfortunately lasted just a couple of hours. And nobody knows who started shooting first, but they're back to shooting at each other. Now, Azerbaijani President Aliyev says the Armenian Prime Minister Pashinyan is a product of George Soros. This was said in an interview with Sputnik, and basically addressed the most pressing issues regarding the ongoing conflict in Nagorno-Karabakh. Both leaders were given an equal amount of time and identical questions. But Azerbaijan's President Ilham Aliyev expressed his belief in an interview with Sputnik that Armenia's prime minister was a product of U.S. billionaire George Soros, known for his generous donations to political causes. I wish he would donate to independent media. What can I tell you here? Okay. Okay. Over in Kyrgyzstan, the president has finally resigned following mass protests earlier this month. That he died. I don't want to go down in history as a leader who shed blood. So he signed his resignation. He said, "I am not clinging to power, and I don't want to be the president who shed blood and shot at his own citizens. Therefore, I've decided to step down." Well, maybe things will calm down over there. It would be a unique experience in that part of the world here. Over in Belarus, thousands of people took to the streets of Minsk again as mass anti-government protests continued across the country. Dozens were detained by police. Rubber bullets fired during another large anti-opposition march. We'll be right back after these few words.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Homeowners, are you in foreclosure, expecting to be served with a foreclosure lawsuit, or suspect your lender has coerced you into an illegal mortgage transaction? A huge number of mortgages made in the last 10 years have legal issues and are possibly defective. State laws and the U.S. Supreme Court have upheld that defective mortgage documents are grounds for foreclosure defense and for counterclaims in favor of the homeowner. If your mortgage has been sold or assigned since closing the loan, it may be defective and you may be paying the wrong party, and the lender may not have standing or the right to foreclose or collect payments under the law. If you would like to know if your mortgage is legal or not, or know if you are paying the right party, we can help. Our initial consultations are free of charge. We are not attorneys. We are legal researchers and work closely with experienced lawyers who know how to help you find the evidence to help you keep your home. Call toll-free 1-855-2-KEEP-IT. That's 1-855-2-KEEP-IT today.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
After about a month of Extendovite, I don't know what it is about the circulation factor. I was able to increase the weight, increase the amount of sets I could do. It has to do with the oxygen getting to the blood. You should market this as an athletic performance. And I don't change anything about my diet or anything. I just thought, this is amazing. Bilberry extract is got something called resveratrol in it, which is the same stuff that you get from red wine. It's also good for eyesight. And I was reading that the Royal Air Force during World War II would give their pilots bilberry jam so they could have better night vision stuff. This is amazing.
To order, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822, or visit our website at heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Is your property a financial burden and causing you grief? Have you tried to sell but can't find buyers? Or are you just too busy to sell your property? Don't worry, we have the right solution for you. We buy properties as is, with cash, close in 30 days, and pay all closing costs. Our service is ideal for property owners who are in pre-foreclosure, have high-end repair costs, experiencing financial hardship, going through costly divorces, are relocating, need cash for retirement, suffering family loss, or have tax liens. Whatever your situation may be, we can help you sell your property and get the money you need. If you own a single-family home or multiple family units, call us for a free consultation at 888-910-1037. That's 888-910-1037. Or visit our website at cashingproperty.com. That's cashingproperty.com. Sell your property fast and leave all your worries behind.
Some have maxed out all their credit cards. Some are working 2 jobs and living in cars. Minimum wage won't pay for a roof, won't pay for a drink. If you gotta have proof, just try it yourself, Mr. CEO. See how far $5.15 an hour will go. Take a part-time job at one of your stores. I bet you can't make it here anymore.
Welcome back to our show here. Now, over in Afghanistan, tens of thousands of people have fled their homes following days of heavy fighting between the Taliban and government forces. And apparently, the Taliban launched a series of attacks on the city of Lashkar Gah in Helmand province over the weekend, which prompted the United States to call in airstrikes in support of the government forces. And you need to remember the government in Afghanistan is the one that was installed by the United States following the first stages of the Afghan war, which is what, its 20th year now. We have kids in Afghanistan fighting over the same ground their fathers fought over. Think about that. Now, this is a good story. I like this. I wish this guy luck here. The political official of the Libyan National Struggle Front, Ahmed Gadaf El-Dam, is suing Hillary Clinton for destroying Libya. And she's being charged with spreading destruction and supporting terrorism in Libya. So this is the cousin of the late President Muammar Gaddafi. And he said in an exclusive interview with Sputnik that he had assigned his legal team to sue the former U.S. Secretary of State. Good luck in the American justice system, but nice that you're trying here. Okay, the delivery of 2 million flu vaccines to Iran has been blocked. by U.S. sanctions on the banks. Last Thursday, the U.S. Treasury announced fresh sanctions on 18 Iranian banks in order to, quote, stop illicit access to U.S. dollars, end quote, a move widely seen as the most aggressive and devastating measure against Iran's financial sector to date. And I'm not entirely sure why the United States has such a burr up their rear end over Iran. I was reading this propaganda piece about the threat that Iran poses to the United States of America. Iran does not pose a threat to the United States of America. Iran just won't do what the United States government wants it to do. And of course, we know that Israel has been urging war on Iran for decades now. Anyway, to get back to Iran, health officials say they've been prevented by the U.S. sanctions from importing 2 million influenza vaccines amid a desperate and deteriorating health crisis within the country. Over in Israel, they have approved over 2,000 new settler homes after the deals with the United Arab Emirates and Bahrain. Last Wednesday, Israel approved the construction of these units in the occupied West Bank, putting to bed rumors that the normalization agreements included a freeze on settlements. And even if it had, Israel would ignore it. Israel writes their promises in disappearing ink. The Israeli army has razed Palestinian-owned farmlands in Gaza, large areas of agricultural land east of Khan Yunis in the southern Gaza Strip. Local sources said that 5 armored D9 bulldozers carried out a limited incursion into the area of Abasan and Kuza'a and leveled dozens of dunams of land with produce. They're destroying the food supplies, what they're doing. In the same context, the Israeli authorities ordered last Tuesday owners of agricultural structures to stop construction in the central occupied West Bank village of Al-Qadar, west of Bethlehem, according to a local activist. And of course, last week we were reporting on how Israel was basically blocking Palestinians from their olive groves at the start of the harvest season. Apparently, in a secret operation that took place a week ago and was only made known to the public last week, IDF special forces crossed the border into the demilitarized zone between Israel and Syria and destroyed 2 outposts belonging to the Syrian army. The operation was carried out supposedly because of Syria's continued violation of the disengagement agreement between Israel and Syria from 1974, which determined that a designated buffer zone between the borders would only be occupied by a special UN force called the Disengagement Observer Force, or UNDOF. Okay, Trump's Mideast peace plan is reaping rewards as Lebanon and Israel hash out an agreement. So Lebanon's parliament speaker met Thursday with a traveling U.S. official, a day after Beirut began complicated negotiations with Israel over their debated maritime border. David Schenker, U.S. Assistant Secretary for State in Near Eastern Affairs, the best American diplomat for the Middle East, did not talk to reporters after he met with Parliament Speaker Nabi Berri. Berri has been the main Lebanese official dealing with U.S. mediators concerning the conflict with Israel over the past decade. Okay. Now, you've probably seen Israel supporters or read Israel supporters all over the place in colleges and media and everywhere saying that criticizing the state of Israel is anti-Semitic. Well, they're doing it all over the place, but people just really aren't believing it. It really doesn't make sense. It's like claiming that the only reason people complain about the Nazis is they hate the German people. We're talking about the actions of a government. Nobody's attacking Israelis' religions or history or their culture or their food or anything like that. They're criticizing the actions of a government, and no government is above criticism. Israel would like it to be so, but it isn't. Anyway, they did a survey up in Canada and discovered that 80% of Canadians do not see that criticizing Israel is anti-Semitic. And 70% said that comparing Israel's apartheid policies to South Africa is not tantamount to anti-Jewish bigotry. Over in Yemen, they're spiraling toward mass starvation, and America is very much complicit in that. There's widespread malnutrition fueled by the war, more recently by the economic downturn caused by the coronavirus pandemic. And the humanitarian catastrophe largely stems from the war in that country, launched in 2015 by Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates, backed to the hilt by the U.S. government. This is an American war, and Americans have Yemeni blood on their hands. The Marine Corps has activated a base camp in Guam. This is Base Camp Blas. Could be pronounced Blaze, but it's missing the final E. According to the Marines, this is the first new Marine Corps base the branch has activated since 1952, when it commissioned Marine Corps Logistics Base in Albany, Georgia. Now they're over on Guam, and one has to wonder why they need to be in that part of the Pacific. Okay, we're going to go ahead and open the phone lines now. The new number is area code 512-248-8252. That's area code 512-248-8252. And we're going to go to Peter in Los Angeles. Hello, Peter. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, Mike. Well, a couple things, but first off, you know how often we've talked about censorship and where it's going to come from, and we've always kind of assumed that it would be the government censoring us, which we're right to fear that as well. But as it turns out, the people that own the government are doing it.
Well, the government couldn't do it because of the First Amendment, so they came up with this legal fiction that private corporations who've commandeered the lion's share of the interpersonal computer traffic of American people, because they're private corporations, they can do what they want. My position is, if Citizens United says the First Amendment applies to corporations, then the First Amendment has to apply to corporations.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And the other interesting thing, there's a whole bunch of stuff going on right now, but the beheading in France.
Yes,
that they are playing up big time in France because it plays against Macron.
Yes,
and nobody likes Macron, but they're totally ignoring that in the United States. So their fake news is playing it up because they're out to get Macron. Our fake news is playing it down because anything with anti-immigration or talking about Muslim terrorism and immigrants, that plays to Trump. So they're ignoring it here.
yes.
It's an interesting juxtaposition here, but the other thing, Mike, was the FBI.
Yes.
And now, again, one more time, we have at the heart of some ginned up terrorist thing, perfectly timed and perfectly aimed, right before the election, again, trying to make Trump look bad on one of his people who've tried to shout him down before. And it turns out another FBI informer.
Yes.
Yet again, Mike.
Yet again.
Yeah.
We have seen this so many times before.
When are we going to get rid of these institutions? And by the way, I was just thinking about. I was talking the other day. I'm sure you're aware that John Brennan, the former head of the CIA, now a MSNBC analyst, was a communist back in the late 70s.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to ask yourself, since those were the height of the Cold War, how in the world does a guy like that get to be the director of the Central Intelligence Agency?
That's a very, very good question.
I can't imagine how that could possibly happen, unless, of course, he was it was the same sort of dynamic that got Jane Harmon. Remember her?
Yeah, I remember her.
They promised her that she was going to be the chairman of the House Intelligence Committee. The Israeli lobby did.
Yes.
If they would kill the spy story, the APAC spy story.
Yes.
And she went for it. She thought that they could do it and deliver on that. But why not? Maybe that's how he got in too. You know,
It could be. I mean,
maybe it's an
obviously,
Epstein.
politics would have to be involved here, and you know, the CIA tends to sort of bring along people that it approves of. I remember George Bush before he was head of the CIA. He was an asset going all the way back to the Bay of Pigs.
Yeah, you know, Mike, I've read a lot about 911. I'm sure you have too. I've never seen it corroborated, but I've heard it that he was George Bush the first was, by the way, in town the day in Dallas, the day of the Kennedy assassination. I've also heard it said that he actually owned the building that the Carousel Club that what's his name
Jack Ruby.
Jack Ruby, his strip club, that he owned the building that Jack Ruby had a strip club. Have you ever seen that corroborated, Mike?
Yes, I have, and I've even seen a photograph from Dealey Plaza on November 22nd or 21st. That it does look like it's a very young George H.W. Bush.
I've seen the same one, and I remember you saying another thing about George Bush first, that he also was involved, had a ship that was involved in the Bay of Pigs.
3 of them.
There we go. But you know, you Mike, you wonder if somebody like that, they don't bring somebody along like Brennan,
yes,
because they have something on him. There's so many.
Very well be.
You know, you got to just wonder why in the world a guy, they fail people for, for background checks if they've smoked marijuana in the past.
Yes.
You know, I mean, and this guy's a communist. And by the way, so was Bernie Sanders. Not only is Bernie Sanders a communist, apparently he took his honeymoon with his wife in Moscow. And not only was he he was on a voting member of the Central Committee for the American Communist Party. So it's really, got to wonder, man, why we haven't. I know you've been onto it for a long time, but how America hasn't figured out what a mess this country is a long time ago. I have no idea.
I think most Americans don't want to know. You know, they want to go on believing that we're the greatest nation on earth, that we have honest government and accurate media, and that they don't need to worry about anything other than, going to work and paying their taxes, and everything will be okay.
Yeah, they want to be able to look away, because if they knew that, they'd have to do something about it, and they're afraid to do that too.
Well, they're afraid to face that question, because if they see the corruption and the problems and they choose to do nothing, then they have to surrender their self-image of being a good American, who would stand up against corruption and political dishonesty. And they have to sort of say, yeah, I'm the kind of American who goes along with this corruption here. I'm a dictator's wet dream, and that's just the way I am.
One more thing.
Okay.
And that is LeBron James and Bloomberg, who spent millions of dollars bailing felons who've served their time in jail, but have yet to pay off their fine that they were sentenced to.
Yeah.
And they're spending millions of dollars to make sure that the felons get their vote.
Yes.
And I think I saw Ted Cruz talking in the confirmation hearings, saying that the Democrats have actually put a bill forward saying that they want to make it legal for felons still in jail to vote, which would mean that if Charles Manson were still alive, that he could vote.
Yes. Well,
they'll
vote Democratic. I know that in Nancy Pelosi's version of the COVID bailout, there are quite a few provisions in there that have got nothing to do with COVID, and they're all about changing the election laws. And that's why Donald Trump is refusing to go along with that.
Well, imagine when you look when a whole political party puts their voting advantage over the safety and welfare of the American people, and they want felons to have a decisive role in deciding who governs us. It's amazing. So, but they want to deny the vote to the military, like they
Yeah,
still
I
are now.
saw that.
They do
I
all the
saw
time.
that. Ridiculous.
So, yep. Anyways, Mike, that's it for me. Thanks very much, Guy.
All right, thanks an awful lot for the phone call. We're going to switch over to Al in Canada. Hello, Al. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, Mike. You and Peter were talking about Israel. I just wanted to mention something about them. That doesn't APAC go around and get all the Congress people and the senators and all these politicians to sign their life away in support of Israel? Cynthia McKinney.
Something along that line. Al, stay on the line. I got to take you through this next commercial break. Don't hang up. We'll be right back after these few words.
What would you say if I told you we have a new tool that will increase production and lower maintenance costs for your meat processing company? And it would pay for itself in just 6 weeks.
When pigs fly!
The new Ease Off Model Easy 4 replaces old spring-style carcass droppers and is faster, safer, and more reliable. The Ease Off lowers or lifts 1,000 pounds to or from your rail automatically using our remote control.
Sounds expensive. Can I afford it?
Can you afford not to try the Ease Off? It installs fast with just 3 bolts in place of your current dropper. The effortless operation will reduce fatigue and injuries, speed up your line, eliminate downtime, and increase profit.
How can I order my Ease Off?
Go to easeoff.com, EAZEOFF.com, and hurry because we are offering $200 off on the new Easy 4 for a limited time. Easeoff.com. We make pigs fly. Cows too. Ease Off LLC, Summersville, Missouri, 417-932-6419.
Hey gang, Patrick Slattery here with an important message that is pertinent to anyone who shops for groceries, eats food, or just has an inquisitive mind like myself. What I'm about to introduce you to is a segment of our food culture that has been kept so low profile to the American public that virtually no one is aware of how dominant it is on our refrigerator and cupboard shelves. What I'm talking about is the kosher certification industry and a new app, Koshertified, that delivers a comprehensive education on all aspects regarding this little-known practice. After reviewing this app, I found that it is useful for practically anyone who purchases food, regardless of their religious faith or identity. Its database of products not kosher certified is a win-win convenience for all food-conscious people. So why not check out the kosherquestion.com or click on the link at nationalbugle.com and see how modifying your grocery shopping with the Koshertified app can make a huge difference for your future.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
After about a month of Extendovite, I don't know what it is about the circulation factor. I was able to increase the weight, increase the amount of sets I could do. It has to do with the oxygen getting to the blood. You should market this as an athletic performance. And I don't change anything about my diet or anything. I just thought, this is amazing. Bilberry extract is got something called resveratrol in it, which is the same stuff that you get from red wine. It's also good for eyesight. And I was reading that the Royal Air Force during World War II would give their pilots bilberry jam so they could have better night vision stuff. This is amazing.
To order, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822, or visit our website at heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
We will not go down in the night without a fight. You can burn up our mosques and our homes and our schools, but our spirit will never die. We will not go down in Gaza tonight.
Welcome back to our show here, and we're talking with Al in Canada. And Al, what is on your mind today?
Hi, Mike.
Hi.
Yeah, I got dropped. I don't know. Something really strange happened. I can't even explain it. Anyway, I did mention something about Israel, right? Cynthia McKinney?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So, and then this COVID thing. On your website, I found this link, and it had to do with about a patent office in Holland. Have you seen that?
Can you give us more details?
Well, it's a patent office in Holland, and it has to do with the COVID-19 system and method for testing. And it was filed in 2015
Interesting.
by Richard A. Rothschild.
Interesting.
System and method for using, for testing for COVID-19, for using biometric and displaying biometric data. You don't know anything about that?
No, I don't. It must have been one of the members' posts, and it doesn't ring a bell. But I've been hearing that there were all kinds. I've been hearing there are all kinds of patents surrounding COVID-19 and discussions about it long before the pandemic appeared, which of course is fueling the theory that it was intentionally released.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's kind of what I would grasp. I'm gonna shoot you the link. I'm just shooting you the link right now. I thought you had seen that. You know, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me like right after 9/11, where all this information was coming out that there were the people doing asbestos abatement, and you know, it was costing millions of dollars per floor, and the people were in there doing something, you know, within the elevator section, which of course would have been the core columns. But you know, it's the same sort of thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like 5 years ago is a long time.
Yes, it was. I'm looking at the link you sent me, and now I remember it starts out with atomic bombshell. Yes, I remember that article now.
Yeah. Yeah. I like when I see stuff like that, I find it very disturbing.
Well, yeah, I mean, it is disturbing. It basically says that COVID-19 was not a big surprise, that obviously the elites knew it was coming or were causing it to come. So, you know, one way to make money in the medical industrial complex is to create the illness.
Yep. And one way to crash a whole world is by doing that, causing a pandemic, locking the countries down, and you know, the governments have to go into massive amounts of debt, which would of course collapse their currency. And it just happens to be Rothschild.
Yes.
This is crazy. Do you remember? And then of course there's that World at Risk that was written in September of 2019, talking about this very thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, like this is something's going on here. I mean, in Canada, they've got us. You know, I know they have you locked down there, and they have us locked down here.
Yeah.
And,
Al,
anyway, I can hear the music, Mike.
Yeah.
I'm not going to let you go. Okay.
All right. Thanks an awful lot. We'll be right back after station identification.
Homeowners, if your lender has gone out of business or sold your transaction to another lender or servicer, you may be the victim of a wrongful foreclosure, resulting in the loss of your home. If you've already lost your home, are in foreclosure, or even in good standing, you can challenge the mortgage transaction's illegal issue, and your property can be restored to you, and your foreclosure can be stopped or reversed, and the mortgage transaction declared unenforceable. State laws, U.S. title codes, the Uniform Commercial Codes, and U.S. Supreme Court rulings have upheld that defective mortgage documentations can reverse or stop foreclosures and enforce property title claims in favor of the homeowner. homeowner. We are having successes in stopping the process of foreclosure, the enforcement of the foreclosure judgments, the sale of property, and evictions after the sale. We are not attorneys, and we don't give legal advice. We are a professional team of legal researchers, providing forensic mortgage audits and expert witnesses. We have the knowledge to produce the evidence and enforce laws regarding your legal issues. We've been in business for 12 years without a complaint. Consultations are free, and we provide a free title search to confirm if your mortgage has legal defects. Please call 855-253-3748. 855, the number 2, keep it today.
You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network, because you can handle the truth.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero. The history the government hopes you never learn. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
Welcome back to our show here, hour number 2. The phone lines are open, area code 512-248-8252, and we're going to go to David in Boston. Hello, David. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Michael. Aloha, everybody. Hey, this train's just pulling out, Michael, at JFK Station here, and it's just leaving, and then I'll have quiet to talk to you.
Okay.
Just about 30 seconds, you know.
Well, just start talking anyway, because 30 seconds of dead air will get us fined by the FCC.
Okay. Michael, listen, you know, I'm not here to win any popularity contest or anything, but, you know, since it's Monday, and you know, and they usually, these these passive-aggressive males usually like to be spectators and watch Monday Night Football. But since there's no Monday Night Football, I'm going to try to fill in and do the best I can to entertain these guys with Monday Night Football. And what I mean by that, I'd like to tackle President Donald Trump. Can I tackle Donald Trump?
I don't know. That Secret Service makes a pretty good defensive line.
Touche. Listen, this Donald Trump, he's a weak leader. He's an appeaser.
Yes.
He's an appeaser. And I say, here's one for you, Michael. What do Donald Trump's gambling casinos have in Trump with his political rallies? What would Donald Trump's gambling casinos, possibly have in common with his political rallies? I'll tell you,
they don't hand out free donuts and coffee, so I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you my answer. They're both full of losers. Now, he's a weak president. Everything is superficial with him. Glitter and sense. You know, he'll hold up the Bible in front of the Presbyterian Church in Wisconsin. I mean, in Washington D.C. But you know, will he search the scriptures and everything? And then he's the FBI director there,
Christopher Wray.
Christopher Wray, yeah. He serves at the pleasure of the president. So doesn't Joe Barr. Now, here's Trump. He's declaring that the Ku Klux Klan is a terrorist organization. And, Michael, I'm telling you, there was some stupid Hollywood movie from years ago, Mississippi Burning, okay?
Yes.
And evidently it happened in the early 50s. I don't watch Hollywood garbage like that. But I'd like to ask Trump, you want to focus on Mississippi burning, Mr. Proud Boy president, but you don't care about Portland burning, or Seattle burning, or Kenosha, Wisconsin burning, huh? Or Minneapolis burning? You want to play it for a bunch of suckers? Just like all the guys that died for those useless wars for Israel? And you want to talk about Mississippi burning? Hey, you listen, I want to hear you declare Antifa a terrorist organization. Hey, Mr. Proud Boy, I want to hear you declare Proud Boys, Black Lives Matter a terrorist organization. You're saying you don't know anything about the Proud Boys, and you're pointing the condemning finger at them. Well, you got 3 condemning fingers pointing back at you, Mr. Proud Boy. And you're just a phony and a fake. You know, Michael, I'm telling you, he's the kind of guy I took the trip up to New Hampshire and Vermont, up where you're from, up in New Hampshire, and came down.
Yes.
The Vermont country store.
Yep.
There's wonderful American women, down home girls, New England girls, and there's wonderful Midwestern women and everything. But no, he's got everything is superficial with him. And I'm not trying to denigrate Melania, but still in all, she's this exotic glamour puss. He goes for these glamour pusses, these supermodels.
Now, come on, family members are off limits, except for Hunter Biden, obviously.
Yeah, he'd never in a million years just marry a down-home American girl. He's got and his previous life was the same way. But he's all, and then his idea of giving the highest award, the highest civilian award. He gives it to Tiger Woods that disgraced the whole country and himself for cheating on his wife scores of times. That he deserves the highest civilian award. Now, another thing, before I let him off the hook. John the Revelator in the Bible, he told the truth. The last book of the Bible, he was exiled to Patmos. Okay?
Yes.
Well, Julian Assange, I call Julian Assange Julian the Revelator. And he's just like John the Revelator. For telling the truth, he's been exiled. And
yes.
He could do no wrong when Trump was using him during the campaign regarding Hillary's emails and everything. But as soon as he got elected, that Judas race traitor, he fed Julian Assange to the wolves.
Well, he turned his back on the independent media as well, and it's going to cost him this time.
Yeah, and then he's pardoning dirty tricksters like Stone there. And everything, but then he will not pardon somebody like Edward Snowden or Julian Assange or something. But he's weak. You guys better wait. I know your audience. If I can use a term from the hood, Michael, I know your audience generally is woke, more woke than any other audience. But he's not a strong leader. He's a weak leader, and he's just a weak leader. And
yeah, but at least his brain is still working.
Huh?
At least his brain is still working. I mean, if Biden wins the election come next Easter, he'll be able to hide his own eggs for the Easter egg hunt.
Yes, but anyways, Trump can only be elected, using the Sloppy Joe as a foil. Sloppy Joe is the Hungarian dialectic. Sloppy Joe is his foil. Sloppy Joe is his straw man, his scarecrow straw man, and everything. It's a classic example of how they say our leaders, our presidents are not elected; they're elected. But
that used to be the case. That used to be the case, but I think 2016 proved that they don't have a lock on the mechanism. Hillary was supposed to win. Trump defeated her. They haven't forgiven him for that. I think this time they want, Biden has been selected to be president because he's going to be easily controlled. Trump may surprise him as well. I mean, when you see all these gratuitous corporate media polls about how Biden's way out ahead, we're all flashing back to 2016 when they were saying the same thing about Hillary.
Yeah, that's a good point, Michael. Although we can't be certain that he wasn't selected the first time, but they're probably right, though. But hey, that McRae there, that FBI, the full of baloney investigation there, it's disgraceful. Now he said the greatest enemy of America was white nationalists. He didn't say white supremacists. He said white nationalists. Well, every American, whether they're white or black, should be a nationalist, should be a patriot.
I agree. I absolutely agree. We should all be nationalists. America first.
This guy, and then this Bill Barr, he serves at the good pleasure of the president. You won't get rid of him. He's the biggest phony. He's a weak leader. And since Claire said I can't vote for her, she doesn't want me to vote for her, Michael. I might vote if he's on the ballot. He probably won't be on the ballot in Massachusetts, but I'd vote for Chuck Baldwin. I'd vote for Chuck Baldwin because Chuck Baldwin doesn't have any innocent blood on his hands. I will not vote for a candidate that has innocent blood on his hands. And
well, let me throw another idea at you. We've been talking a lot about how the FBI had Hunter Biden's laptop since last December. Obviously, they went through it all. and they didn't do anything with it in terms of bringing Hunter Biden or Joe Biden to prosecution. But don't you understand that the FBI now has all the leverage they need over a future President Biden? And that, to me, is a good reason not to vote for Biden.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's disgraceful how that the Philip Lumley investigation sat on the computer hard drive and everything for so long.
Yeah.
And, when I pick up the Michael, I'm going to continue on exposing the FBI, and I'm going to continue not now, but later on in the week about Whitey Bulger and Zip Conley. But I also want to cover Professor Anthony Sutton. The FBI raided his headquarters in Boring, Oregon, and they tormented this man. They hunted him like a dog. They persecuted. He had to actually hide out. Elizabeth, I don't know if you remember this lady, Elizabeth Clare Prophet. But
yes.
She wrote books about, between when Jesus was 12 years old and then when he was 33. She wrote The Missing Years, Elizabeth Clare Prophet. But she had underground bomb shelters under Montana. And poor Professor Anthony Sutton had to hide in those shelters, in those bomb shelters. Thank God for Elizabeth Clare Prophet. Hide from the FBI. But then they got to him, and he died under mysterious circumstances. And he was in good health, but they found him dead. And it was never investigated or anything. But I'll probably lose you, Michael, now. I've talked long enough. I got on the train. We're going into the subway now, underground.
Yeah, your signal is breaking up here. All right, so thank you very much for the phone call. We're going to let you go and switch over to Joe in Tennessee. Hello, Joe. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind today?
Wow.
Yes.
Already
got an email about that one.
There's really no saving the FBI. I mean, I hate to keep calling up about the same thing, but every day it's like another extreme outrage. I mean, it's amazing. It's like it really is. There must be something in the air, like the apocalypse, the exposure, the great unveiling. Because I mean, what the FBI did here, sitting on this computer for a year, with a pedophile. I mean, and all this corruption, and meanwhile, the Ukrainian Trump impeachment went through, and all those people up there lying, like the ambassador to Kuwait, that woman, and she knew about Biden. They all knew about this corruption. It's just amazing how corrupt our system is, and to have the FBI just sitting on this kind of information is amazing. It's just, we've really gone to third world status. Just when I think the FBI couldn't be more embarrassing, it's just extraordinary. And Ray and Barr, I mean, Trump, I don't know if Trump could really fire them now. I mean, the firestorm, it's just going to take everybody off the election. So I understand why he doesn't call him in. Maybe Ray should right now just call him in and fire him. But that's going to become, if you ever
I think that'll happen after the election. I think that's going to happen after the election.
And Barr, too. Barr's got to go. I mean, the fact of the matter is this information, there's no doubt, was out. They knew this was coming. I mean, part of the QAnon, the fact that they've been attacked in QAnon and talking about pedophilia, they were pre-positioning the arguments for this. They were getting ready. They've been suppressing and censoring all groups that might start putting out these videos of Hunter with the Chinese children. And I have to say one other thing. The Chinese government is in big trouble with this story because the Chinese government came out for Joe Biden. And when the Chinese people, if they get to see Joe Biden's son abusing underage Chinese prepubescent girls and such, the Chinese are going to go crazy. The Chinese people, they're very they'll attack a police station with machetes. I mean, when they get angry, there's riots there all the time. And there's probably nobody suppressing this story, even though our media is, more than the Chinese, because they know the explosive power of this. And I heard Steve Bannon the other day, and he said it. He said this money that Hunter Biden was getting and was going to Joe Biden, that was coming from the Chinese people. And so not only were the Chinese people, the poor Chinese people, robbed and had their money stolen from them, but it appears like their women were abused by Joe Biden's son.
Yes. which
they're
gives the
under
Chinese government leverage over a future President Biden. I mean, that's the real issue here that people should be thinking about. You've got the Ukraine corruption, you've got the Chinese corruption, you've got the possible pedophilia, and who knows what all else is out there. Every one of them is a blackmail tool to put leverage on Hunter Biden, and through Hunter Biden, a future President Biden. And, Joe Biden is a national security threat.
But the problem is once it gets exposed, see, leverage has got to be. But once it gets exposed, the Chinese people are going to say to their own government, now, wait a minute, you allowed this? Because they're guilty too. They allowed this, even though they might say, oh, well, wait, we were doing this to get blackmail on Joe Biden's son. And they're saying, oh, you allowed our daughters and our young girls to be abused by an American pervert. So you see, so it's going to, leverage, like you said, I can understand the tools of blackmail, but they have to be, once it's exposed, both sides can get the hit on this. And that's my point.
Well, that's why I think it should be exposed. I think it should all be hauled out into the sunlight for everybody to see, and then the blackmailers lose their power over our government.
Absolutely, but thanks to the FBI, who's supposed to be they really are just the Democratic deep state Gestapo. That's what the FBI. It's the deep state Gestapo.
Joe,
any FBI agent should just resign and shame. They are actually Miss Prisian of pedophilia.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. But listen, Joe,
of pedophilia. Anybody that had any involvement in this should go to prison.
Hello, Joe. My turn.
Yeah, do you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I was wondering if you could hear me at all. You need to remember that the owner of that computer repair shop made 4 copies of the hard drive. And Rudy Giuliani has one of them. I don't know where the second one went. The other 2 were concealed with friends because this computer shop owner literally feared for his life because of what he found on that hard drive. So the fact of the matter is the information is out there. It's outside the control of the FBI. And I think the main reason the FBI held onto the laptop is that they plan to use it to control a future President Joe Biden through his son Hunter. Well, actually, there's incriminating information about Joe Biden as well on that laptop in terms of the money that came from Ukraine and China.
Yeah, well, and I hear, like I said, I hear Dave criticizing Trump, and I've called in and criticized Trump before. But, I mean, just seeing the amount of corruption with the deep state, if Trump would have gotten elected and they would have given him a honeymoon and he would have been able to do some of the things, I could understand all this hostility towards him, But the amount of abuse and attack, every step of the way, the man's had to fight, whether it was against the deep state, the Democrats, the media, the rhinos, the neocons. I mean, there's never been a president who's been attacked as much as this guy has and been attempted to frustrate him in every way. So I'm giving him that. If he wins this election and then, he can really be cut loose. I'll guarantee if he wins this election, there's going to be a real sweep out of the FBI and the DOJ. It's got to happen.
I would certainly hope so. Presidents in their second term tend to be a lot clearer.
And I think they should consider a little bit the obstacles that this man has had in his place. Somewhat unfair. But anyway, thank you, Mike.
Okay, well, there's nothing fair about politics here. And yes, a president in his second term is going to have a lot more latitude to do what he wants to do. And that probably is why the deep state and the liberal Democrats are absolutely in panic mode. Because if Trump gets reelected, I think that, yes, we're going to see the guy that we saw on The Apprentice, and he's going to be doing a lot of firings. And I'm hoping he's going to clean up this election system. Because it's in dire need of renovation from top to bottom. And that's going to be a big issue for me in the coming years, is cleaning up this election system from the mess that it currently is.
Well, something, I thought about that, Mike, and I realize we've been on that for about 4 years since the election. But there will be definitely public support of cleaning up the election system after this election. So maybe we can get movement. Now, when Trump first got in, I mean, half the Rhino Republicans were against it. They were all in bed. They thought they started pulling out the Voting Rights Act and all that stuff. So he really didn't have the political backing to do really any kind of election reform at that time. So hopefully with him being reelected and this becoming a big issue now, that he'll have the, once again, you got to expose things, you got to educate people, and then you got to go for the change. So hopefully that's kind of what's going to happen. But we'll see. But I do think these are very dangerous times. The stakes just keep getting raised and raised.
They very much are. Okay, Joe, I'm going to have to let you go. We have a commercial break here, and we'll be right back with more callers.
Extend your life with Extendovite, a 7-herb combination made from garlic, cayenne, bilberry, hawthorn, ginkgo biloba, valerian, and milk thistle. Each herb was chosen for their abilities to help improve irregular heartbeats, chest pain, lower cholesterol, as well as normalize blood pressure and clean and strengthen arteries, plus much, much more. Doctors have taken people off of some or all of their pills just because they believe their patients got better while taking Extendovite. Get the dependability of Extendovite. Just see how you feel in 6 months. A 2-month supply of either capsules or liquid is only $69.95 plus shipping and handling. Call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now, but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge 20, 30, 40, 50, if possible, 100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
What Really Happened with your host, Mike Rivero. Visit us online at whatreallyhappened.com. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
Welcome back to our show here. We're going to go back to the phones to Tom in Florida. Hello, Tom. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind today?
Yeah, Michael, good day to you. Joe is right on a lot of points, but I just want to make it quickly. First off, I want to talk about this Springsteen and all these people keep saying they're going to leave the country if Trump gets elected. I can't wait till they leave. Really.
Well, we said that back in 2016, and none of those people left.
Yeah, well, they're all liars, just like the Democratic Party, a bunch of liars. And yeah, Mike, let's look at this point too. When I look at Antifa, I did some research on Antifa, and I called Robert's show. He's 100% right. I was doing the research on this on Friday. Antifa was ex-hippies, and they're all basically Zionists. They're all basically Zionists, Michael.
Mm-hmm.
They are Zionists. And it's like BLM, the three lesbians who started BLM, they're Marxist, big-time communists. There's no question about it. They're big communist supporters. And John Brennan was another communist. I like the one called Peter was saying. It's unbelievable that these people get away with this treachery. Like I told you the other day, Mike, the Republican Party is the sons of liberty. The Democratic Party is the sons of tyranny. And that's exactly how this is going to play out. Sons of liberty against the sons of tyranny. The bumbling buffoonery Biden, this bumbling imbecile son, who's had three women with three different babies with three different women. And one of the women he got pregnant was a stripper.
Yep.
$2 million for child support. The other one, he was having sex with his brother's wife after he died. Bo's wife. That's true. I mean, and now he's married to some other dim bitch. I don't know. It's unbelievable, Mike, what's going on.
Okay, Tom, can you get the microphone a little closer to your mouth here because you're breaking up?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Much better.
So, Mike, the bottom line is, Mike, the treachery that these people in the tyranny they're getting away with is astronomical. And going back, I'm not pointing nobody out, but look at these New England states. It's appalling what they've and all these. And on Breitbart, if Drudge today, and by the way, Matt Drudge sold the Drudge report for multiple millions of dollars and trying to keep it quiet. Because basically he had about 3 or 4 lovers that he had to pay off.
Okay.
Homosexual persuasion, but he's basically sold the Drudge report from what we're hearing. But also, Mike, these blue state bluers, okay, they are either calling your show with the blues from the blue state they're in with the taxes and gas prices and everything. And you know what? I don't have one of your guys that's in a blue state, and we're not going to mention names. You could say it if you want. Can you have any of those blue state guys that call your show say 3 nice things that Donald Trump has done for them to make their lives better? I challenge any of your callers in those blue states to call in your show and say, you know what, Trump has done 3 good things for our country that are really meaningful, not with this nonsense nincompoop crap they're going to come out with. Because you know what, Trump has done more in my lifetime than any president, including Ronald Reagan, that I can recall, Mike. And I'm sure you feel the same way. Do you not?
Yes, I do.
Okay, there's the question and the answer. So my point is this: we're going to see what's going to happen. The election's 2 weeks from now.
Yes.
And I tell you, I see nothing but tyranny if the Democrats win this election.
Absolutely.
All tyranny. Look at Pelosi, Pig Pelosi. Look at these demon rats with all these criminal senators, that Coons and all these other Blumenthal's. It's mind-boggling to me, Mike. It's mind-boggling to me. So we'll see how this plays out. It's going to be interesting. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out.
Yes, it will
and
be.
Everywhere you go, Mike, you still got to wear a mask, and even the CDC says the masks are not even that good for you. So let's have that one guy calling me because the masks are not helping you. It's BS. The masks are literally BS unless you wear a face shield and you're in a space helmet. The COVID's going to the eyes. Who knows where it's going? And I believe this was an airborne disease, and I do believe that they were spraying us or something. I mean, come on. These Chinese were basically going into San Francisco, New York. They weren't coming all over the whole country. Their drop-off areas when Trump tried to stop this incursion was basically in San Francisco and New York. And I guess some of them came into Miami or some of these Atlanta, but they weren't coming all over the freaking country, Mike, were they? Come on. It's all nonsense. It really is. It's nonsensical. So we'll see. Mike, I'm hoping that I hear on election night that New Hampshire might have swung for one of those New England states would have went for Trump, because if not, and he loses, I think the whole country's lost. It's over. It's lost for sure.
Yes, I agree. And my concern is that if Trump does win, and I hope he does, it's going to get very ugly afterwards, because as we saw in 2016, the Democrats are not good losers.
That's correct. And by the way, Mike, did you see the rally they had in Alabama and Georgia for the bikers? All the bikers this last weekend?
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, it was like over 1,900. It was like 1,900 bikers. It was pretty impressive.
Yes,
all those
a lot of
motorcycles. So
motorcycles.
we'll see what happens, Mike. It's going to be really interesting. It really will.
Okay.
Anyway, God bless you. God bless you,
All
man.
right.
We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Well, thanks an awful lot. And yeah, it's an interesting time. I'm sure they're going to be writing history books about this election far off into the future, both for the contentiousness, the crookedness, and the corruption, the 3 C's that are all coming out right now. We're going to take another break here for some commercials. Back with more phone calls after these few words.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Homeowners, are you in foreclosure, expecting to be served with a foreclosure lawsuit, or suspect your lender has coerced you into an illegal mortgage transaction? A huge number of mortgages made in the last 10 years have legal issues and are possibly defective. State laws and the U.S. Supreme Court have upheld that defective mortgage documents are grounds for foreclosure defense and for counterclaims in favor of the homeowner. If your mortgage has been sold or assigned since closing the loan, it may be defective and you may be paying the wrong party, and the lender may not have standing or the right to foreclose or collect payments under the law. If you would like to know if your mortgage is legal or not, or know if you are paying the right party, we can help. Our initial consultations are free of charge. We are not attorneys. We are legal researchers and work closely with experienced lawyers who know how to help you find the evidence to help you keep your home. Call toll free 1-855-2-KEEP-IT. That's 1-855-2-KEEP-IT today.
Here at Republic Broadcasting Network, we have been building our online store. Well, we have been focusing on bringing you the best talk show host in the country. Here at Republic Broadcasting Network, we also want our listeners to have products they can use every day and in times of emergency. We have added new products each week to our store. Your support of this network, plus products at the best prices, is a win-win situation. Check out our new store. Go to our website, republicbroadcasting.org, and click on the online store located at the top of our website. Together, we can continue to grow RBN and help our listeners prepare for the future. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and click on our online store or call us.
800-724-2719, extension 3. 800-724-2719, extension 3.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Extendovite really works. Here are some reviews from Amazon.com. John Hess, 5 out of 5 stars. Awesome. Probably my only review, but at age 40, I was getting bad heartthrob and left arm pain, mainly before bed. I even stopped smoking and drinking sodas for a month, and that didn't work. After one day of taking Extendovite, it was gone and hasn't returned in 3 years. I've ordered Extendovite 13 times, so Amazon just said. Juliet Hordick. I've ordered this product before in liquid form. It is fantastic. My whole family's been on it. To order, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822, or visit our website at heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Welcome to What Really Happened Radio. Visit us online at whatreallyhappened.com. And now, set your eyes on the future and let's consider what really happened.
Welcome back to our show here. We're going to go back to the phones to Mark in North Carolina. Hello, Mark. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
How you doing, Mike? Mike,
Fine.
I just want to start off with what Twitter is doing. Not only about the Biden criminality and all that, trying to suppress that. Well, that's not just Twitter; that's the rest of them. But also what they're doing to that doctor now, who's actually working for in the White House, suppressing information. Twitter needs to be charged with treason for one thing, and for attempted murder, maybe murder, because because this doctor was talking against masks, which is actually hurting people, maybe killing them because it lowers your immune system and all that. And just think of these people have to wear masks all day, okay? And so they should be charged with attempted murder then, maybe even with murder, if this is the case. This is a criminal organization. And that brings me back to, you just had Joe from Tennessee and Tom from Florida on. Now, I still remember last week, Joe made that silly remark that if I don't like Trump, I shouldn't vote, or I should just leave it go and let other people vote for him. Well, again, first of all, I'm voting for the President of the United States. I'm concerned with this country. I don't care about a political party. And the idea of Biden getting in there, and this is before all this came out, because I knew this stuff anyway. I knew this stuff when Ukraine first came out. As a matter of fact, one of my first videos I made on YouTube was about the Ukraine situation and about Biden's son being a crackhead. I said he was a crackhead. Right now, like I said, YouTube has actually suspended me from videos. I don't know how long it's going to be or what, but you can still go to my channel and find stuff like that. So I don't need anybody to tell me, what I should or shouldn't, who I should or shouldn't vote for. I'm going to vote for Trump, but again, this man is very flawed. He's done very little good. Okay, he's done some. I'll say this: he got us out of a TPP trade agreement. He got us out of the climate, so-called climate change agreement.
I agreed with that one.
Okay, and he did a couple other things too, like he renegotiated an NAFTA, though I'm not sure whether he really did a good job on that or not. I guess time will tell. But other than that, what has he done? We've got an even more bloated military budget, and he keeps bragging about it. He brags about moving the embassy to Jerusalem. All that does is stirs up more and more problems and gives Netanyahu, who is one of the two arch criminals in the Middle East. The other one is Erdogan. Gives them even more. He seized the oil there in Syria and refuses to give it back to them. This is thievery, and we're doing it in our name and using our soldiers to do it. He murdered that General
Soleimani,
who was actually a hero, who actually was killing terrorists. Okay, he was not a terrorist himself. And look at the people he's appointed. Again, how can you be that dumb to put a guy like Bolton in there, or Pompeo, or he didn't stand by General Flynn, which is, Flynn would have completely changed things right off the bat. He knew where the bodies were buried. That's why that first one Deep State went after was Flynn. And Trump just threw him under the bus. Okay, he has no concept of what he's doing when it comes to hiring some of the worst people. He surrounded himself with neocons and neoliberals, and then he's surprised. Look what the Ukraine thing, when the impeachment came up, you found out some of these people, many of them were dual citizens. They were dual. I wouldn't be surprised if some of them were like that colonel. They wouldn't have been a triple citizen, because I know he had a Ukrainian citizenship, American citizenship. It wouldn't surprise me if he didn't have Israeli citizenship on top of that. That fat colonel there, disgusting, that disgusting pig there. Okay, so he's made some. He keeps on putting people like this in his government. He gets rid of Comey, which he should have done in the first day. But what does he replace him with? He replace him with Comey the second.
Yes.
He replaced him with somebody just as bad, if not worse, Robert Ray. He puts one shyster. He removes one shyster lawyer, whose career in the Justice Department, and puts in another shyster lawyer career in the Justice Department. He could have gotten a guy like Sheriff David Clark, who was one of his biggest supporters during the election. He could have put him, a constitutional sheriff, in charge of the FBI and/or Homeland Security. But no, he puts all these clowns in there, and then people keep worshiping him. See, I'm not a cultist. I don't. No one man is that great. Okay, and certainly he isn't. Right? I go by ideas, and the fact of the matter is, Trump has been a tremendous disappointment.
Yes,
Just like
I would
said,
agree, but I'm still supporting him.
There's no other choice right now because look at if Biden gets in there, I'm afraid this country might be done. I really am. I think we have some
agree.
hope for Trump. Okay, you see what a crook, and that's another thing too. Talk about Giuliani, who's done such a great job of investigating. For crying out loud, he could have appointed him as Attorney General from day one. Instead of the idiot Sessions who didn't know what he was doing, and then replacing him with this toad-looking, what's his name, Barr? Okay,
yes,
he could have put Giuliani in there from the day one. Giuliani is one of the top investigators and prosecutors this country has ever known. Okay,
yes,
one of the best. Maybe
his record from the Southern District of New York. If it weren't for the questions over his head from 9/11, I would agree with you that he would make a great Attorney General.
I'll be honest with you, Mike. I personally do not think he knew anything about 9/11. I don't think he had anything to do with covering up. Knowing the kind of man he is and was, and the kind of prosecutor he was, I really think he was innocent in that. I really do. I don't think he.
Well, we agree to disagree.
Wrong. I think 9/11 was a false flag. I think our government, the Israeli government, owned by the dancing Israelis, and the Saudis were all involved in it. Okay.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I just think Giuliani was innocent. But like you said, we can agree to disagree on it because I know what a prosecutor the man was. He went after anybody, politicians, businessmen. If you were a crook, you better hide. He had the Mayor Koch there, hiding under his desk. Okay.
Yes.
He would have a mask in those days. He'd have probably been wearing a mask like somebody else there from New Jersey. Okay. That's how scared he had all these hacks, these political hacks in those days. And that's who Trump could have and should have put as his Attorney General. This would be a whole different story today. Dave Clark as FBI director, this country would be in much, much better shape. But he didn't do anything like that. He put the worst kind of scum in there or left them in there if they were. What about Gina Haspel? This witch should be in jail. She should be behind bars, what she did. Okay, what she was responsible for. Instead, he makes her CIA director. I mean, you cannot, I'm sorry. These people who want to be cultists for Trump, there's no way. I want them to challenge me. I'm like I said, I'm not a snowflake. Joe, you want to say that I should, who am I don't appreciate it? Or Tom, you say I don't want to appreciate them? Go ahead, tell me that. Say it. I don't care. Because I don't think Trump did a good job, and he did very little for the average American. He did a lot for Wall Street. He kept them interest rates artificially low. He kept the stock market going. Yeah, that he did. And he's still doing that. Okay? But what did he do for the average American? All right? And again, that doesn't mean, and again, the sanctions he puts on some of these countries, like Venezuela, what did Venezuela ever do to us? What did Iran ever do to us? Okay? I'm sorry.
It's all about the oil. It's all about expanding hegemony.
Exactly. Hegemony and listening to his real boss, Netanyahu. Okay?
Yes.
And Sheldon Adelson, who really boss him around. But again, I have no other choice. I'm going to vote for Trump. And, I'm not going to sit it out. A lot of people say, oh, you shouldn't vote for anybody. No. The dangers are too great that Biden, a criminal like Biden, gets in there. Biden and Harris. These are criminals. We cannot let them in. The Democratic Party today is the party of treason, outright treason. It's worse than the Republican Party. And that's pretty bad because the Republican Party is no good either. I'd like to see the Democrats replaced, like the Whigs were replaced by the Republican Party. I'd like to see the Democrats come up with something like maybe become maybe the American the Workers' Party or something like that, who actually represent the working class people in this country, who are the majority of the American people. I'd love to see that. Because that's what the Democrats once were. That's what they were under FDR.
Then they got corrupted.
Exactly. Absolutely. And I think the murder of JFK by the CIA actually opened the door, and pretty much that was the end right there. It corrupted the whole country after that. And that's about all I got to say. I hope these guys answer. I like to hear if I'm home tomorrow, I'll listen to your show. I like to see what they have to say. Okay? Because
all right.
I take challenges. I'm not a snowflake. You say whatever you want. Same thing, Justin. You want to criticize me in the masks? I still say the masks are not only worthless, they're harmful.
Yes, the CDC agrees with you.
Absolutely. But, everything is kept quiet, kept secret. Okay? Well, by the way, God bless South Carolina. I went to South Carolina this week. I had to go to Charlotte, North Carolina. I go to South Carolina, stopped off the rest stop there, where they have, called Q&T.
Yeah.
And the only people wearing masks are a few people coming in from out of state wearing a stupid mask. Meanwhile, the employees aren't even wearing masks there. And that's great. That's awesome. Okay? And I don't believe these numbers. The numbers they're coming up with, they mean nothing. They actually mean somebody might have had a contact with a virus or something. Nothing happened. They're unsymptomatic, or they may have, maybe they were tested and it came up with a cold, which basically, what this basically is a bad cold. Okay?
Yeah.
So that's about it for now, Mike. Like I said, you take it easy, right? Bye.
All right. Well, thanks an awful lot for the phone call. We're going to switch over to Paul in New Jersey. Hello, Paul. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hello, Michael. Hey, Michael, last I checked, this is the month of October.
Correct.
So what happens, they got a term for it, when somebody comes out with explosive information right at the last minute in October, influence an election. They call it the October surprise.
Or they call it convenient.
Now, fellas, let's go through the timeline with Hunter Biden and this bombshell that was then dropped in October. Because we remember that the FBI had that back in January. And then all of a sudden, lo and behold, in October, Mr. Giuliani starts releasing the Hunter Biden laptop information in the public to help Trump win the election. Surprise, surprise. Do you think?
Well, obviously, obviously Rudy is going to release. Obviously, Rudy's going to pick the best time to release the information to help the campaign, but that does not detract from the question of whether the information is in fact true or not. And so far, the evidence seems to indicate that it is. Like I said earlier in the show, if in fact there is some pedophilia materials on that laptop hard drive, I'm expecting that'll come out a week from today.
Well, I'm telling you, fellas, I'm not buying that Giuliani just didn't sit on this since January.
I'm not disagreeing with you
about it back then. What?
I'm not disagreeing with you on that.
Because let's go through a quote from Donald Trump from a tweet from just about a week and a half ago on October 8th. Donald Trump said in a quote, and I'm just going to read the excerpt from it. It's concerning Governor Whitmer of Michigan. Donald Trump said in his tweet, the federal government provided tremendous help to the great people of Michigan. My Justice Department and federal law enforcement announced, et cetera, unquote. So Donald Trump, in October, in his tweet, lays claim to controlling, or at least that it's his Justice Department.
Well, administratively, it is. The Justice Department is part of the executive branch.
Exactly. So Donald Trump and Giuliani probably knew all about it way back in January. Didn't come out with it in January so the Democrats could pick a decent, honorable candidate. No. That would be too ethical. Instead, the Department of Justice, in other words, Trump's Department of Justice, which he calls his Department of Justice, holds on to this to October, and then they release it. And everybody on the Republican side is making it sound like it was an accident. Oh, they didn't plan this all along. Oh, they don't even bring it up.
Yeah, but Paul, you're
It's
forgetting
obvious,
that
fellas.
you're forgetting that the information about Ukraine and China was in fact out much earlier in the year, and the Democrats did have an opportunity to pick a much more credible candidate. Even setting aside Ukraine and China, I mean, Biden's mental state alone, the Democrats basically went with a lame candidate. And maybe that is sort of to sneak Kamala Harris in there because her polling during the primaries was in the basement. But yeah, political campaigns are going to time the release of information to benefit their campaign. That's a given. Politics is a dirty business.
However, now here's the problem. Since Giuliani ran with this and is making it public, and now Trump is even saying they may release the laptop, contents of the laptop. Well, what kind of chain of custody is that for getting a conviction? Sounds like you're going to lose any chance of an actual conviction. And as we know with Donald Trump, he has a habit of not delivering any justice at all. He doesn't care about justice for America at all. Not at all. He promised us in 2016 he would sic the Department of Justice on Hillary Clinton. He did it. He didn't do anything. Now,
No, he
4
didn't.
years later, he knows about the pom-pom boys and the booster club out there cheering for it. And now he's out there saying he's going to jail Biden. How pathetic can you get? What a disgrace. And meanwhile, are we supposed to believe him this time, fellas, that he's going to deliver justice and jail the Bidens? Really?
Well, I think
Really?
that Paul, I think if Biden loses the election, that's a lot of justice right there, as far as I'm concerned. As far as Hunter Biden, yeah, his stuff is actionable, and as far as the chain of custody is concerned, it goes from Hunter Biden to the computer store to the FBI, and that's a solid chain of evidence there. If other people have copies of that hard drive, what's the FBI going to do? Stand up and say, their copy doesn't match our copy?
So the question is, did it really just so happen that Giuliani got in contact with the fella at the store, or was it more like
the other way around?
That some fellas in the FBI, some Trump moles or whoever, said that and channeled it over to Giuliani, so Giuliani can release it for an October surprise. And that's what we're seeing here,
none of this addresses the issue. None of this addresses the issue that, as far as we're able to tell from the information on the laptop and other supporting information, the Bidens were engaged in corrupt behavior in Ukraine and China. The only question mark remains over the supposed pedophilia, which is supposed to be on that laptop as well. That's an open issue. And like I said, if there is something that corroborates that, and I'm not talking about all the fake pictures the Biden supporters are trying to flood all over the internet to discredit the whole story, but if there is something to corroborate that, I expect that to come out a week from today.
So just expect this, people. Listen, Donald Trump doesn't care about justice. He could, if he knew about it
Paul,
then, he should be having what?
Paul, we get
Investigation.
that you're a Biden supporter, and unfortunately, we're almost out of time, and I got a bunch of calls I got to get through. So thank you very much, and we're going to let you go and switch over to Layla in Canada. Hello, Layla. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind? Layla, are you there? Okay, we lost Layla, so let's go to Pat in Fort Worth. Hello, Pat. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind? And we lost Pat. I tell you, folks, we need donations to buy a new phone system. Let's go to Ken in New York. Hello, Ken. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
This is Dan from Washington. Am I on the air?
Yes, Dan from Washington. You're on the air, and I don't know how we got so messed up.
It's fate, because everyone wants to hear what I got to say. So
okay,
the universe made that happen. No, I'm just kidding. No, look, Trump at least tweets to the issues that, like immigration, that have made me mad for so long. And I'll take Tom's challenge. Okay, Trump, I'm from a blue state of Washington. But Trump, did sign an executive orders when he first got in there to end the refugee program, to
True.
stop. He did sign some immigration executive orders, and I think he has calmed stuff down. He allowed Russia to take over in Syria. So, the red state, blue state thing is irritating. I drive all over, and to me, it's more about demographics. California was at one time a red state, and they tried what they could, but the federal government is corrupt. So, yeah, and they don't want to stop immigration, and so I guess I'll wrap it. You don't have much time, but I understand people not voting at all, and I'm going back and forth myself. I think it was Jim from New York said something like, if you vote, you're giving legitimacy to the system. But
yes,
but I do think people should support Trump just because at least he speaks to that, and that's really all we got. And the rest of the Republicans, I think, is the failure Trump or the Republican Congress when they had 2 years did nothing except the tax cut. All the immigration crap they just ignored. And now it's going to be, I think, too late for them. So the Republicans after Trump are all just going to be like Nikki Haley, or they might go more right wing, like the girl in Florida running. I forgot her name. She's like a hardcore Zionist, kind of alt right, but anyway, they're going to pivot and just forget about what the American people wanted. But yeah, I would say go for Trump. And but I wanted to tell everyone, the caller from Boston, it's important. I was real motivated last election, but do some meditation and don't let your blood pressure get too high, because you can pop. I've had a heart event. I know Frank from North Carolina. You can't let this stuff get to don't let it affect your physiology,
Yes.
So that's where I'm at with Trump. I don't have much emotion. Eddie Van Halen, and then remembering the 80s this week has affected me more than, the election right now. So the decline of heavy metal and all that stuff.
Well,
anyway,
I was never a big fan of heavy metal. Anyway, Ken, gonna let you go. I'm sorry, Dan, gonna let you go here, and we finally do have Ken in New York on the line. Ken, what's on your mind?
My subject's a bit old now, but I believe that the only way you're going to send a message is to do something like get rid of the FBI. I'm sure that the Justice Department could handle their function quite well. And I don't know where the U.S. Marshals sit or what they do exactly, but I thought they might have been under the Justice Department.
Yes, they are.
Okay, then they should be the commanders, the investigators. I don't see any reason for the FBI. They'll never change.
No, they never will.
It's a waste. No, they're
Unfortunately,
too far gone.
they've got the blackmail goods on all politicians, so they'll never be shut down.
That seems to be the only purpose. In fact,
Well,
all agencies appear to be like that.
Like I keep prognosticating, I foresee a Soviet Union-style collapse of the entire country, at which point we'll be rid of the FBI and a lot of other bad government agencies at the same time.
Oh, goody. Good night, Mike.
All right, thanks an awful lot. Real quick, Kelly in Austin. Hello, Kelly. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, Paul needs to understand that it's not the Republican Party's job to make sure the Democrat Party picks an acceptable candidate. If they knew this material about the Biden back in January and earlier, it wasn't their responsibility to bring it forward. The Democrats have to put forward someone they think reflects their own values and to let Americans decide based on that. But to blame the Republicans for holding back on that is absolutely asinine. I'm sorry, Paul. That was just stupid.
Okay.
I'm done.
All right.
Paul sometimes says really interesting things, but other times he just comes across with the most asinine
All right, well,
things.
Kelly, Kelly, I got to let you go here. There's the music. Time for me to get on out of here. Stay tuned. Steve Elkins is taking the microphone for John Stedmiller for both hours, and I'm sure he's going to have lots of interesting things to share with you. Please spread the word of Republic Broadcasting. Spread the word of whatreallyhappened.com. Please donate. We need your support to keep doing what we're doing for as long as is necessary, which seems like a very long time. We'll be back tomorrow. Aloha, America.